right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another night of Beyond the White Noise Paranormal Room VidCast. Tonight we have KJ McCormick, as you know him from Ghost Hunters and Taps, and we're very glad to have KJ on tonight. See how what it's like to be behind the camera, actually having to go out and investigate. A lot more different than people like myself going out or people like Mo going out, where we don't have cameras following us around and stuff like that. Welcome, KJ. Thank you very much for coming on.
Welcome, KJ.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much for coming on. And firstly, Kate, the difference between us and KJ is people care about what KJ does. People don't go out the way to watch what we get up to.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Other than local law enforcement, that's about pretty much
That's most about it.
Oh my dear God. But no, I mean, I'm amazed. I'm over the moon you've came on. It's, as I said to you just before we come on air, every once in a while you get that guest you just really want to ask a million questions to, and then you instantly get some form of block, which goes, yes, question. And you just, it's gone. So questions today, I've got a load, but I'm going to try and make sure I write them down before I ask any of them before I end up having a nervous breakdown. But before we get into the interview, KJ, I'm just going to ask Kate, because again, it's been about 2 weeks now since we last came on air. Kate, what's new?
Actually been working, trying to make some money, Christmas money, probably buy a couple plane tickets, or a plane ticket to head out to Missouri to see my girlfriend, and freeze my ass off out there doing some investigation. Hopefully on Zombie Road, I'll be hitting that again, and hopefully I want to hit the Left Mansion one more time and spend some time out there, you know? Need a break.
Well,
how about you?
It's well needed for you. I can understand that you need a break. I mean, listening to me, listening to WhatsApp, listening to the endless, relentless dribble. No, that's what you do to me on WhatsApp. Sorry, totally forgot. Sorry. Back to the initial question. Well, for me, over the past 2 weeks, it's been a bit of a weird one. The second we came off air on the Sunday, I crammed the last couple of days into work. I went to York, and where normal people would go on well, especially the paranormal field, you'd call it like a busman holiday, where you'd go to, for instance, Lent Mansion, or you go somewhere like that, and you go and look at it as a spectator. I went with a camera, I went with my wife, wished a happy birthday, then I disappeared with my camera, and didn't make many friends whatsoever doing that with my wife. But I went like grave chasing. It was surreal. It was really surreal. And then when I came back, I got a chance to review and test the new Seek Thermal, the XR edition, which was a bit of a weird eye-opener, considering it's the newest in the budget thermal imaging range. And I won't give much away. Watch the review on YouTube when it hits YouTube. But I was really surprised by it, to be fair. But again, thermal imagery, it's a bit of a 50-50 on whether it's actually usable for what we do, or whether it's something which, I don't know, maybe we need to look at other aspects of it. But nevertheless, I'll move away from that, and again, we'll go straight over to you, KJ. How the hell, what, Ghost Adventures, Jesus, sorry. Ghost Hunters, explain.
Dude, you broke the internet.
I swore.
Broke the internet. He's just shaking his head, he disappears, we're sitting there staring at each other. Good job, man.
Yeah. God damn. Explain Ghost Hunters. Explain what got you there. How did you manage to one day wake up and think, I'm on Ghost Hunters? Everybody else aspires to be there, and you effortlessly get there. How the hell?
I guess it seems that way. You know, it's interesting. I think sometimes some of the best things in life come to you when you're chasing something else.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, that's pretty much, in a nutshell, you know, I had, I guess, put myself in the right situation without even knowing it. And, you know, due to my experience and passion for the paranormal, I think is what led Jay to call me. Basically, it was just like a fill-in. You know, it was a situation where you know, Steve and Tango were going over to Ghost Hunters Academy, and they were starting that program, that part of the franchise, and they just needed a spot filled. And you know, I mean, it was basically a random call to me at one point where I didn't even expect it, and you know, it fell into my lap, and you know, it took me a little time to say yes. I mean, honestly, when you consider everything that there is involved with being on the show, you know, and the travel, the time away, you know, the restrictions from, you know, just communication-wise as far as what you're doing and where you are and all that kind of stuff. You know, it took a while for me to actually accept the offer, but it was really only just, hey, you know, we need somebody for a couple of cases, or you know, maybe more than that, but we don't really know right now. Are you interested in doing it?
Yeah.
You know, and it was honestly, it was being in the right place at the right time, and knowing the right people, and having the right skills, I guess, you know, and the ability to say yes. I mean, like I said, I wasn't looking for it. I never in a million years would think I'd be on TV, and I still, you guys ask me this question now, and I still ask myself the same question.
At least, you know what? At least you're honest about it. As we've spoken to people in the past, on air and off air, with regards to getting into TV, and they always, some of them say we grasped for it, some of them say we put ourselves out. You say you sort of walked headfirst into it, and like, oh, the opportunity's there. That's brilliant. I think it's the right way to do it, because you go at it humble. You don't go at it where people who aspire to be there, they don't exactly go at it humble. They grab and grab and grab until they get in. Obviously, you're stepping on people to get to where you need to be. Now, let's push. Oh no, sorry. Before I do push Ghost Hunters to one side, one question I've got to ask you. I've been wanting to ask any member of Ghost Hunters. It doesn't matter who it was. I had to ask this question. Tango, planes, fear of flying. How bad is it?
You mean Steve?
Yeah. How bad is his fear of flying?
Oh, it's.
Is it like Mr. T off the A-Team? Bad.
But worse, like you know, they could knock Mr. T out, you know.
Oh my God.
You know, I'll tell you, like it's pretty bad, you know. I mean, you know, and from what I understand, you know, Steve has flown on planes plenty of times in the past, and actually was the only member of TAPS that's ever actually sat and flown a plane, from what I understand. But you know, based on an experience that he had, that he really doesn't, you know, it's not something that you really drill him for information on, you know, because it's just something that really, it's got him really freaked out. And I think ultimately, you know, anybody that likes to be in control of their situation understands that once you get on an airplane, you are not in control of anything.
Yeah.
And I think that particular fear right there for anybody is a really difficult phobia to get over.
Oh no, I totally agree. I mean, I'm the, and it may seem like I'm mocking him for his inability to get on a plane, but it's the way the show portrays him. Like when I think you guys went over with Meatloaf to investigate, I can't remember what island it was, and he was like, I'm not going. I don't care. I'll go by boat. I'll walk. I'll stay here. I'm not going. Right. I was like, the way he's portrayed it was quite comical, and I thought, he can't be that bad, but clearly, obviously, he is that bad. I mean,
no, it definitely is. Like he definitely has a really solid fear of flying, and I know a few other people that are the same way, and they you know, they feel more comfortable behind the wheel of their own car than they do on a train or a boat, and especially an airplane. So, you know, we do what we can for them to make sure that the cases are relatively close, within a 15-hour drive of the last case or whatever, so you can get there, you know.
Yeah, that's funny. A buddy of mine happened to bump into him at a truck stop. He's a big rig trucker, and he got to talking to him. And Steve was real cool about the part about flying. He goes, "What are you doing down here?" He goes, "I don't like flying." He was at least honest. He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Steve was like one of the coolest guys ever." And he was telling me the story about running into him at a Florida truck stop. And I thought it was funny because he was going with the production crew. He was traveling with those guys down or something like that.
One way of doing it. Right, okay, we'll move away from TAPS and move away from Ghost Hunters for now, because obviously it's the question everybody instantly wants to jump to when speaking to a Ghost Hunters member. Move more back towards you and how you actually got into the field, how you got into What brought you to where you are? What experiences, sorry?
You know, I'll tell you straight up, man. It started the first time when I was 11, right?
Yeah.
Had a had a visual experience knowing what I know now. I feel like I saw an apparition. This was in New England. I was young though. Like you didn't know what it was. Like
Yeah.
it just left this big question in my mind of like, hey, what the hell was that? What did I just see? Did I really see anything?
Yeah.
And you know, I was pretty curious about space, aliens, anything supernatural from a very young age, man. I loved sci-fi. It was, it was probably the coolest stuff on TV when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, I just went about life after that. I didn't think too much of it. I didn't tell anybody about it. You didn't really talk about that kind of experience when you were a kid. All that much. And then, tragically, when I was about 14, my grandmother passed away. And, this is what really pushed me into the paranormal, into whatever it was back then. This was like 1985. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to my grandmother, and she was somebody that, when you grow up in New England, and the majority of people, you grow up in the same neighborhood that your parents grew up in, and not too far from where your grandparents grew up in, a very tight-knit community. And my grandmother lived down the street from us. We'd spent a lot of time with her. My mom had to work a lot, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she was a second mother to us, basically, and she came down with lymphatic lymphoma, and by the time we realized where it was at, it was probably 4 weeks, and she was gone. And I had a chance to see her about 2 weeks into it, but then when it came down to the last 2 weeks, it was, she was just, she was in a really rough spot, and my mom didn't think that it was appropriate for her kids to see that. She wanted us to remember her in her glory, But I never had a chance to say goodbye to her. So, I would think about her a lot, right? And I would pray to her a lot, we weren't an overly religious family by any means, but we believed in praying, we believed in a higher power, we believed in the connection that people still have to us and we have to them even though they're gone. And I wanted to know, are you okay? Is she okay? Is she in a happy place? Does she still watch over us? I mean, these are all the thoughts that are going through my head. And one night I did the same thing that I had done pretty much every single night since she passed away, and I spoke to her, I talked to her, I prayed to her, I wanted her to know how much I cared and how much I miss her and all that kind of stuff. And I'm lying in bed, and I was just about like at that point where I'm starting to fall asleep, and I hear what sounded like movement in my room, and I thought my mom had come in and opened the door as she normally does, just to check on us and see how, are we sleeping yet or whatever. And I remember I sat up from my bed, and boom, there was my grandmother standing at the end of my bed. She was,
Whoa.
She was like the white lady that everybody says that they see on every haunted location there is across the world. Somebody sees a white lady, right?
Yeah.
And I swear that's what she looked like to me. She was kind of white, kind of gray. I mean, it was like a black and white film standing right in front of me. And basically, she was just standing there. She kind of had her arms out, and she had this big smile on her face. And like I kind of was like, a double take, and then she was gone. But I'll tell you what, in that split second of seeing her, every question that I had for her was answered. Every question about whether she's happy, is she in a good place, is she still connected with us, can she help us, can she hear us? All that was answered in that split second. And from that moment on, it was game on. I wanted more. I wanted to see more. I wanted to connect with her more. I wanted to see if I could connect with other spirits. How strong is the connection? How often are they able to communicate with us? I mean, all of that. And it was basically from 14 to 16 was when I really just started doing whatever I could do to try to experience this kind of stuff, whether I was going to a creepy house or I would wander around in graveyards, guys, at night, you know, by myself or with another buddy if I could get him to come with me.
Meet your friends.
Yeah, we do that still.
And there's a lot of great graveyards in New England, you know. I mean, there's tons of them, and there's tons of history out there. And you know, I mean, that moment right there when I finally saw her, you know, honestly, whether it was a figment of my imagination or my subconscious or whatnot, something was communicating with me, you know. And you know, I still have yet to completely explain it, but it really made me aware of the fact that we are able to connect and communicate with these people that have been in our lives before and who are physically no longer, but they still are, somehow their energy is still connected with ours.
Yeah.
I happen to agree with you on that. I had an incident once. I just got my driver's license, 16 years old, and I pulled out in front of another car, and I almost got T-boned. You know, I had a couple friends with me. But the weirdest thing in the world came to my mind was my grandmother. I've never met my grandmother before. She died of tuberculosis in 1950-something. But that just stuck with me for some reason. And I'm not really a spiritual person. I'm borderline agnostic atheist. But at the same time, though, I can't explain that feeling I had about my grandmother who I've never met. I don't... And it's bizarre. It's just like a real bizarre thing. And it's the thing I remember the most, even today, about what happened. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
Well, as society, we have a different bond or connection with grandparents as we do to parents, because your mum and dad, this is one thing people don't realise, your mum and dad are the people who will tell you off and will give you, they will make you feel bad for doing something wrong. Your grandparents are the ones who go, it's okay, come on, don't worry about it. Your grandparents are always the ones who will protect you, even when your parents are telling you off, because your grandparents made the mistakes with the parents and then think, no, leave him alone, he's okay. So you would more than likely find that it's just down to the fact that your nan likes to get on your mum's and father's nerves, effectively. Mine still do it now, believe me.
No, it's true. I remember when I was 16, I got my ear pierced for the first time, right?
Oh.
And Mom said, no way, man, don't you ever get your ear pierced. It's not happening. And finally, I just went out and did it. And she was so pissed, man. She was so pissed. And my grandfather was the guy who basically calmed her down and, like, you know, made her, like, realize it's no big deal, that, you know, eventually it'll come out, the hole will close up, you know. Don't worry about it. He's just, you know, being who he is or whatever. And it was my grandfather that did that, you know. And he's like, it's going to be all right, KJ. Don't you worry, all right? It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's really good. I had a similar situation when I was younger. And my family are all from Ireland. And I was 15 years of age. And I went over to Ireland to visit the family over there. We were there for 2 weeks. We came back. And when we came back, my mum, she was 40 at the time, she'd had a tattoo. She never had a tattoo. My mum was always the businesswoman type, and she had a tattoo of a rose on her shoulder. And the second I seen that tattoo, I thought, you have no way you can tell me off if I get a tattoo now. So a couple of months later, I literally talked her into taking me to get a tattoo, and she was going, you'll regret it. I'm going,
really?
I won't regret it. I regretted it the second I got it. But you know what? I was the only one of my friends with the tattoo, and it's
okay. Now can you show it to us? Since you brought up the story, we do want to see the tattoo of regret.
There you
All
go.
right, get it closer to camera.
There you go. It's like a chicken or something. I don't know.
Well, it's Chinese lettering, or what's it called?
Cool.
Meaning nothing that you thought it meant. You know, they do. They love to do that at tattoo parlors. Me, my whole body's inked up. And it's like I laugh when I get. My cousin one time went and got. It was my first wedding. You know, we all went and got tattooed. And he got some sort of like design or what's it called, Chinese lettering or Chinese, and it like he told me about a week later that a girl he knew who was Korean read it and said it just said air, earth, water, and something like airplane. It meant nothing. And I've always laughed at him since. It's always been kind of like a joke since.
Fireplace chicken, IKEA.
Fireplace chicken, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, it's what. Do you know what? It's I don't care what the tattoo says. The fact that I was the first one of my friends to go, got a tattoo, aren't I cool? And they were all
true,
like,
man. You got bragging rights now, you know.
I had bragging rights for about 3 hours, honestly, because then when it started to hurt, and I turned into a big girl about it. But it is what it is. So. Right. We'll move swiftly on from tattoos and working at white grandparents to get away with not punishing you. We'll move straight back over to, again, as I said, the paranormal field. Now, with regards to the show, and I said I wouldn't talk much about the show, but this is not more about the show as it is about the technology on the show. What you guys use, you have pretty much I won't say an inexhaustible well, but you have access to a lot of equipment, which is heavy-duty equipment. Some of the FLIR cameras you guys are using are upwards of 20K. Or very expensive cameras when they're bought brand new.
Yeah.
Does it offer you any more opportunity to catch as, say, for instance, the novice who's trying to get into it and gets a new camera? Is there any difference other than just the quality for the show? If you understand what the question is.
Yeah, you know. I don't know. I'm not going to say that, any evidence that we've caught on a $20,000 camera is any better than somebody who bought one for $400 at Best Buy. You know what I mean? I think that, the benefit of the show for us and for any company out there that is trying to test any equipment is that we put it through the most rigorous testing you could possibly imagine. As far as this field goes, it's in and out of cases, it's in and out of people's hands, it's up and down from the shelves, it's charged and not charged, it's, potentially dropped or banged into something, on a regular basis, you know what I mean? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we're very respectful with all the equipment, but, in any type of situation like that, we basically we put it through the rigors, and we test it as best as it could be tested, and we definitely find any flaws really quickly in longevity or performance. I don't really think that we have a better chance necessarily based on our equipment of capturing evidence than anybody else. There's a lot that goes into it, as you guys would know, in regards to evidence and capturing things. And sometimes it comes down to being in the right place at the right time, man. Yeah. And by mistake, you capture some of the best evidence that you ever captured when you've been trying so hard forever, and then somehow something happens and you capture something cool on the crappiest camera, or a cheap thermal imager or whatever it is, I like being able to use some of the newest equipment out there. I really do. I like to see what's out there. I like to see what people are coming up with. If we can, we do everything that we can to figure out how they work and what works best for our situation, and we kind of go from there,
Yeah. And what I've noticed also, KJ, about, let's say we're talking about the show that you're on, Ghost Hunters, that every season, you still are using the same quality equipment that you had the season before. Not like some other shows, and there are plenty of other shows I'm talking about, that have like these $9,000 kits that you can hold it like this and you see an outline, and there's a lot of shows that have that. And I'm saying that's what I like best about where you're going for, is you're using the same thing solid every season, and it's also And if you do catch something, let's say you do see something on a FLIR, nobody's being melodramatic about it. It's just like, yo, check this out. What do you think? You know, and then let's move on. And I
Yeah.
find that to be extremely awesome. I really do.
Nice.
Well, sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. You know, there are a lot of new equipment, a lot of new pieces of equipment that are coming out that are either really expensive or sometimes really complicated to use. The more buttons, the more circuits, the more wires, the more things that you have to fail potentially in any piece of equipment,
Yeah.
the more trouble you're going to have with it, and most likely, the more often it's going to fail on you right at the moment when you need it the most. So a lot of times we try to strip those pieces down, those tools down to its simplest form. And what we've realized is that sometimes you get the best thing on some of the most simple devices that there are out there. But ultimately, like where I come from and my perspective on this whole thing is, if you're too focused on your equipment, and I've said this from the very beginning, if you're too focused on your equipment and what it's doing and why it's not working and what's going on, oh my God, you're going to miss what's going on around you. Your best pieces of equipment, I think, are your eyes, your ears, and the hair on your body. When that starts standing up on end, you better be paying attention. You know what I mean? And don't worry about your equipment. Set up your equipment strategically in a location and let it do its thing. And then walk around with your eyes open and your ears peeled and ready for anything. And then you can start with, trying to capture a piece of evidence of it or taking pictures of it or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the perfect, and that's the best answer you could come up with, because you do see a lot of people, and what they do is they have their eyes down on a screen, and again, as Kurt said a little bit earlier, some certain shows will go, just to let you know how dark it is, and they'll turn it off and go, we only rely on the screens of the cameras to see where we're going, and you're thinking, my eyes are probably the best optical system I'm ever going to come in contact with in my life. Sadly, I can't record from them, but it is what it is. So why the hell look at a little 3-inch screen that's facing your feet? I don't get it. It's highly illogical. And the one other thing which you guys do, which a lot of shows don't do, is as opposed to going, what's that noise quick? That's clearly somebody saying chicken in the distance or something like that. It's actually you guys will go, I wonder what it is. And then you'll start questioning it. You won't just answer what it is straight away. So you look at it with an equally skeptical as equally. I've seen you guys debunk a lot more than most of these shows pull off. You will look at something and say, no, it's not that. It's one episode, for instance, Dave Tango pointed out it was a server in a server room that was making a clicking sound. And he literally walked the length of a hallway to work that out. And I thought anybody else would be like, yep, demons. Clearly, it's demons.
Yeah, we're like the non-demonic show, dude. We do not like to bring up demons with people. It's just no.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But as I said, sorry, go on.
The whole, and the thing with this show is that from the very beginning, it was never, it was never the goal of Jason or Taps to become a TV show.
Yeah.
So I think that is what still separates us from a lot of the other shows out there, is that this was just an investigative group, a paranormal group that was going out and doing this before anybody really did it to that kind of organized fashion, and it caught on. As far as production companies were looking at it, wanting to make it into a TV show, and had all these ideas about how they wanted it to be, but Jay and Grant at the time were able to keep it pure to what they wanted, and we have all been able to maintain that through every year. I mean, now we're shooting season 11. All right.
Jesus.
I mean,
whoa.
It's crazy.
Jesus.
It was never that goal to be on TV, and even the celebrity status that a lot of us have gathered from this, have gained from this TV show. We're still ordinary guys, man. I mean, I'm sitting in my garage, which is my workshop, and what I do when I'm not on the road, on TV, is I make things out of wood. You know, I'm cutting out the same kind of table saw and building houses and building furniture, whatever it is. You know, I mean, I'm
That's
just
cool.
ordinary guy.
That's cool. It's like, yeah, that's one thing Taps does bring about. Not Taps. I know the guys from Taps. I'll just say is the fact that it's you guys have a blue collar mentality, and I think having that blue collar mentality carries its weight a lot more than me being me being getting a TV show and getting 2 seasons of Destination America and then kicked off. And that's just the way I say Destination America because they're like every time you want to watch a show, you scroll by that channel, it's some ghost show, and you're like, dude, I've had enough. I gotta watch something else. But you guys carry a blue collar mentality, which I give a lot of respect for. And like you were just saying, you build things. That's what you do. The other guys were working roto-rooter at a certain time.
Right.
That's blue collar. I mean, it's just the way you carry yourselves, and that's why you are on Sci-Fi. They're upping it, for the 11th season right now that you stated? That you're doing that because there's a couple other shows that have gotten the boot from some other stations that I've laughed at. I've just been like, well, you shouldn't have sucked so bad. You probably would have had another gig. But I'm not saying who, what, where, when, why, how of those people. I will not do that. But you guys carry yourselves well. But one thing I do want to ask you, KJ, and this is a question I've always had, and it's not a loaded question, I promise. Okay? At the beginning of Ghost Hunters, Taps, they debunked everything. But slowly you're starting to see now they're picking up more and more things, more and more things out there. Is that pressure coming down from a production company or Sci-Fi, and then you got to stay at a longer place a lot longer? Or how does that work?
We really don't get pressure from Sci-Fi.
Okay, cool.
I've never had anybody pressure me about, like, this has got to be a good case, or we've got to get great evidence. I mean, or you guys got to get more evidence, or none of that. I mean, there's never been any of that pressure that I've ever seen. I think that ultimately the quality of the investigations that we do, the locations, we've been able to, we've from season 1 to season 11, obviously we've got a bigger reputation, a better reputation.
Oh yes.
So we get higher quality cases with much more of a chance to have paranormal activity. But also there are a lot of cases out there that don't get aired on the Sci-Fi network. I mean, obviously, like, at this point in time, I think that, people that are viewing a TV show, and I'm thinking about myself, like when I'm viewing a TV show, especially a paranormal show, I want to see real hard work, okay, first off. I don't even care if you don't know how to use the equipment, okay? I want to see an honest approach. I want to see hard work in trying to get something to come forward or something to happen in a solid attempt at capturing evidence. I don't want to see a bunch of, like, BS out there. Like, that doesn't keep my attention, I think over the years, people want to see the best of the best investigations, and that's really what it's come down to now. Season 10, Season 11, it's the best of the best investigations, and those are the ones that end up getting out there on air. When there's exciting things happen, people want to see exciting things because, as you guys know, paranormal investigating 99% of the time is not very exciting.
Yeah.
It's
story of my life.
We keep doing it over and over and over again, hours after hours and days after days. And when you get something like that's, a lot of people lately, and to any of the fans that are out there right now, everybody's been amazing. The feedback for me personally has been fantastic, and I want to thank everybody for that. But there are still haters out there, and there's still people that'll never believe you no matter what happens. But one of the things that people say to me a lot of times is, you're always so excited when something happens, and it's like, well, how would you be when you've been in an investigation for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and nothing's really going on, and then all of a sudden something happens and you've got something to go investigate, and you've got something to either disprove or capture some evidence or review on your tape at the end of your investigation. You finally have something to look forward to finding. I'm excited, all right? And that's what it's come down to. I think that what you see on the Sci-Fi Network is basically the best of the best investigations that we've had.
Well, if I can put my opinion on to how the reason it's gone and the reason the catalyst to it has changed, don't worry, it's not an assassination in any way, shape or form, is what you may find, Kurt, is there's been 11 seasons. In 11 seasons, they've gone from having very basic equipment when they started off, and the equipment gets progressively better. Plus, as well, if you investigate 10 places, that's okay. You investigate 100 places, you then become more seasoned to what is and what isn't classed as paranormal. So it may have more to do with the experience you have between point A and point B. I mean, how many times, Kurt, and you'll know as much as me, you'll bump into an investigation group who will say to you, yeah, we're very experienced, and,
we're professionals. Yeah, we're professionals.
And
I've heard that before, and I'm like, God, no.
Expert. That's my favorite.
Expert. That's what it is.
I am the expert in chasing something in the dark with a camera that I don't know. So basically, all that person is an expert at is running around in darkness. Congratulations with your green screen. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to say to you is, it's with progression comes experience. With experience comes knowledge. With knowledge becomes more awareness to what's going on around. That's what I'd put it down to. But again, my own personal opinion, which on YouTube means that much. So onwards and upwards.
That's a really good point. I mean, the more experience you have, the more knowledge you gain. The more investigations that you do, the more experience you have with a lot of the same types of locations. A lot of these locations, they're very similar in many ways. I mean, there's plenty of locations that we've been on where once you get inside, you look around, you're like, man, we could be at this place, we could be at that place, we could be at this investigation. Some of it looks the same. A lot of it is the same. Maybe you're in a different historic location, but it's very similar to the last 20 that you were at. That's very similar. It's a museum now, but it was this particular residence at this point in time, whatever. So you get used to what the sounds of old buildings make, and the how outside noise transfers from through broken windows or boarded up sides or brick or metal or whatever it is, after a while. So that's why you're looking for something that's more profound. You're always looking for something that's more profound every investigation, because a little creak or a little bump or a knock response really doesn't hold as much merit as it once did years ago.
Yeah. Now, another question for you, and we'll move slightly away from the investigation side of things and more towards the logistics side of things. Who is the poor SOB who has to charge all the batteries? I have to deal with about 15 batteries, and that's one step off me walking out of this house and going to live in a field away from computers forever. That's 15 batteries. It's nothing.
That's going to be Tango and myself. The two of us, we run the tech department. Tango's the tech manager, and he plays a big role in what everybody's job is out there as far as the tech goes. And we do a good job. We split it up, man. And it's like, okay, you take these 50 batteries to your room, Tango, with a bunch of power strips, and KJ, you take these 50 devices and get them all charging, and make sure you have all your USB cables and your micro USB, and dude, I hear you.
I wouldn't know anybody else who has to do that, you see.
I feel your pain. Okay.
In the middle of the night, so I can change out some charged batteries and put on the ones that still need to be charged, and it's a pain in the butt, man. It really is.
I'm actually contemplating getting some form of support group for people like us, so we can sit there and air
Yeah.
obviously indifferences toward the rest of the team members who sit there and have a drink
Oh
or.
well, the last picture KJ he sends me right at this last investigation of an old orphanage in Liverpool, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden he's sitting there, he's got all this equipment set up, and I'm looking at it. He sent me this picture, and first off, there's an ass crack of somebody reaching over to grab a piece of pizza. Second off, I asked him, I go, "Is that your team?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Did any of them help you set up?" He goes, "No." And I'm sitting there going like, dude, they would not be eating pizza if they didn't have that. It was the funniest scene I have ever saw. And they're all looking up at the camera, and he's going like this probably.
If I could ever give you any advice, which to be fair, I'm not qualified to do so, the one piece of advice I'd give you is on one location. You've got to do it, right? Phone the nearest pizza place and order food to the location. You will never see a more petrified look on the person who stops to deliver the pizza at a big, scary, haunted house. We done it on the last investigation we were at, which is a big old stately home. Like, yeah, well, when you get here, you might have to get the pizzas and fold them that way to get them through the fence. And the guy's like, he's going, when he gets there, how do I do? And he's like, just post them through. He's like, you really meant to be in there? Oh, yeah, we're fine. And he really was like, what are you doing? Like, none of your business. Giving me food, please be gone. But it was I was a bit of a bitch to him, but nevertheless, it's, as I said, if there's one thing you could ever try, it's order food to a location. It's hilarious.
I love it, man. I love that idea.
You need to try it. It's brilliant. Other than you guys who get spotted from a mile off, that's the only sad part. Somebody will spot you and go,
when they creep up really, really slow down the street, they're like, I'm not supposed to be here, am I?
Yeah, this is a joke. But again, it's the way it is. Now, you guys on the show, you say at the end of every single episode, right, on to the next. How long are you actually away for whilst you're doing it?
How long are we away in between the next case?
Yeah.
No, I mean, do you ever go from one to the next to the next to the next? Or is it like a case, home, case, home?
No. It's like a lot of times it's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks on the road. Then we get a break.
Whoa.
That's a long.
Yeah, and some of us, I mean, unfortunately, the production crew, they stay on the road the whole time. At this point in time, if we have something that's going on at home that we need to be at, and for the ones that have kids and everything like that,
yeah,
the production company definitely does what they can to accommodate what we need and to send us home for a few days in between, a shooting schedule to be with our family and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty rigorous. We've got, it takes about 2 weeks to film. We've got investigation, and then we've got all the evidence that needs to be reviewed over the next, week pretty much. Yeah. And then we've got a week's worth of finishing up the case, where we shoot our analysis, and then we present evidence to the client. We shoot the reveal, and the drive away, and then everything that we do to, that Jay and Steve do to talk about the case at the end after the reveal. Yeah. So that whole process takes about 2 weeks in any one particular place, and then right from there, that very next weekend, we're on our way to the next city.
Yeah.
And that Monday or Tuesday, we start investigating again. So it's right on.
That's heavy duty, especially if you have family and stuff like that. I mean, to be away from them. But what I've noticed though is this season, you do two investigations per episode, which I find interesting. It seems like.
Well, here's the thing behind that, and we guys had mentioned before about, it seems that we're getting, we're actually getting more evidence or less debunking happening or whatever in some of those, or disproving or whatever it is that we're doing. Ultimately, you've got basically 2 cases that took 2 weeks each to film. And then they're being crunched down into 2 like half-hour episodes. I mean, that's
okay.
Straight up on that. If you've got a case, like you know, and a lot of our show, it really is watched by paranormal investigators, like
Yeah.
true people that are really into the paranormal. Not to take away from people that are into it for entertainment purposes or whatever it is, but it's not a show built on entertainment. It's a show
Mhm.
that's built on investigating and what it's like to investigate and the things that happen to us during our investigations. If there's not a whole lot going on a case, it's going to be a kind of a blah episode, I think, from a network perspective. So what they do is they break it down and they just cut those two cases into one episode. So that's
Yeah.
basically what you're getting there.
No,
Oh, okay.
I just
Go ahead,
can I point one thing out to you? You guys lied to me. Ghost hunters lied to me. You sit there on the evidence analysis, and 1 minute it's like that. 20 minutes later you're like that. And a few more minutes later you're like that. Next minute you're like that, and you're done. It's not that long. It's far longer. You make it look like it takes 10 minutes.
Move on to the next 10.5 hour, right?
It's like 3 minutes worth of evidence review. It's not. It's weeks. I hate
Pretty
this
much,
story.
man. You know, you got to figure, you know, you've got, I mean, for every camera that we're shooting and every audio device, you've got 8 hours minimum of footage, depending on where it was and where it was held. I mean, we cut, you know, our video footage at times whenever, like if we're walking away or we're going back to the van or we're reconnecting and regrouping it to, you know, we cut, you know, because we don't want to have to review that or we don't want to have to like fast forward through it and whatever. So we've learned techniques on how to cut down on the evidence review a little bit, but it's hours, man. I mean, not only were we working, you know, every night for a week, and those are like 15-hour days, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we start about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we go till 4 in the morning because by the time we pack up, it's 5 easily, and then we get back to the hotel. You know, it's 6 a.m. Then we've got to like unload our equipment, and it's 6. After a while, you're like, man, you know, these 15, 16-hour days are killing us. But then on top of that, you've got all this evidence to review, and everybody on the team has got, you know, who knows, man, 20 hours or something. You know, if you're lucky,
Do you know
20
what?
hours.
You guys need to do with archaeologists too. Do you know archaeologists, when they go and do an archaeological dig, what they do is they go to universities and ask the local universities, do any of your archaeology students want to come out and help on the dig? And then the first thing that happens is all the archaeology students go, yeah, we're going to go and help on the dig. Do you know what they do? They sift the soil.
Yeah.
They do all the tedious soil sifting. You guys need to go to universities and go, any of you guys into filmography? Come with us. Come on. And just abuse the students. They don't mind. They're just happy to be
involved. It would be
involved.
really fun, you know. I mean, for anybody that thinks it's an easy job or a dream job, you know, it would be really fun to sit a bunch of people like that into a room and give them a bunch of evidence and say, okay, you know, there's 3 pieces of potential evidence on this, you know, 6 hours worth of investigation. I want to see if you can pick it out. You know, I mean, it'll drive them crazy. They'd go nuts.
No, at least 3. Do it that way. It's worse to do that. But I can imagine it to be remarkably frustrating. I mean, as I said, I do pretty much a lot of our evidence review on my own, and it's more due to the fact that even if I pass it to any of my other team members, I'll still check it out myself because I don't know, I'm just that finicky sod, and I'll be sitting on a bus and I'll have my headphones in, I'll be going somewhere, or I'll be on a train somewhere, and I'll have my headphones in like now, and everyone's looking at me like I'm listening to music when I'm listening to an EVP session, and I'm like, and you're jumping and you get your pad and paper out and write something down, and people are like, is he a train spotter? Is he like, does he count the bus stops or something? What is it? But no, we from an outsider's point of view, all involved in the paranormal field, if you're not on television, you're a weirdo. It's I'm sorry, it's the way we land. But I mean, it's good that you've got that happy medium between carpentry and the investigating. But the one thing, if I can ask you, do you only investigate with taps for ghost hunters? Do you only investigate, or do you do your own thing as well? Or is it by the time you get home, you go, I've had enough?
You know, it depends on how much time I have home. A lot of times I have, you know, when we're filming, you know, I've got about 10 days to 2 weeks at times, depending on what the filming schedule is and what's going on. You know, if I've got 10 days home, I don't do any investigating. If I've got 2 weeks home and there's somebody that has something that's going on that's local to me, I'll definitely go there and help them out. And I'll, you know, basically what I like to do is I like to show them, you know, here's a simple recorder, you know, here's your, you know, you can use your video camera if you want, and you don't have to do it in the dark, okay? I mean, I like doing it in the dark because there's a lot of things that you can't see with the lights on, but, you know, ultimately my goal is if somebody's having an issue and I have the time, I'm home for about 2 weeks, I will go and I will teach them how they can do their own investigation with very simple equipment, and we'll do an investigation and then we'll go through the evidence. When I was living in Colorado, I had more time there. I had more people that I was involved with in the paranormal, so we would go and do more frequent investigations, but I also wasn't on the show full time, so I had more time to do that and continue that. Times like now where we're in the holidays and everything, I just, it's funny that you asked because I just spoke with actually a reporter from CNN, wanted to do a little piece on me in the San Diego area, and she wanted to just go out on a ghost hunt. Ultimately, it wasn't for TV, it wasn't for the news station or anything like that. She wanted to go out on a ghost hunt, so we're working on doing something like that somewhere, like maybe the Del Mar Fairgrounds or something, and you know, trying to connect with Bing Crosby or something.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying to me is a news reporter's tried to flex her professional muscles to get out on an investigation.
Exactly. If she can flex them all day for me, that would be great.
Oh my God! Let's hope you're on your own and not digging yourself a hole there. But I mean, you've got a young son, haven't you, Alexander?
I do. I have a 5-year-old boy, Alexander, and I have a 3-year-old daughter named Isabella.
Right. See, I'm an Alexander myself. My middle name, so thumbs up to Alexander.
I thought it was Meatloaf. It's not Meatloaf.
No, that's my third chin. That's just I ended up with this name I didn't have this name until we went on VidCast. I never had the name when we were just podcast. But once we got on video, I just got abused. And so I'm like, all right, I'll put Meatloaf every show. People remember Meatloaf. That's basically it.
Before we went on VidCast, I thought he was blonde, to be fair. But nevertheless, your son Alexander, does he know what you do? Or
yeah, he does actually. Whether he completely understands it or not right now, he definitely does know what I do, and he gets more curious, and you know, his questions get better and better each time, I think. But he's seen me on TV. We've watched the show a few different times, and you know, sometimes he's not scared of it at all, and other times, you know, he gets a little like, hey, Dad, I can't watch, you know, and so we'll pause it, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, we don't have to watch, and he's like, no, okay, press play, okay, you know,
I've got vision to it though. I've got visions of you straight after watching the episode that scares your son, getting straight onto the production company. Bastards, you've scared me, son. I'm coming. Oh no, do you know? I can imagine. Is he the type of child to watch Ghostbusters or?
You know, it's funny. We haven't watched Ghostbusters yet. Shame on me, right? But I'm trying to save my kids from being freaked out too early in life.
Yeah. Keep them with their innocence.
Good idea.
As much as possible. You know, I'm not trying to protect them from everything that's horrible in the world, but visually, you know, there's some things out there that visually can freak a kid out at 5 years old that sticks with them for a while. That I try to be a little bit more cautious about that. You know, what we watched the other day was The Goonies.
Yes, what a guy!
Right, love that film, and I've been wanting to show it to him for a long time, but I just didn't feel like he was old enough. And I found it. Finally, I was like, you know what? We're gonna watch The Goonies because it's a good adventure. And yeah, there's a little scariness in there, but it's a good adventure about kids, and it was just super fun. And when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
we watched it the other day. It was fantastic. But what
That's
freaked him out was when he saw, they end up down in the basement of the restaurant, and there's
the frozen
that
guy.
woman's son was down there all chained up, and
Oh,
his face was all distorted and everything, and my son was like, he got totally freaked out by him,
yeah.
and I had
Sloth.
forgotten about that part, like it just didn't stick with me. So
Oh,
ultimately, he got over it, and by the end of the movie, he was like, "Oh, okay, I understand, Dad. I thought he was, he was real scary at first, but he was just he's friends with the boys, and he helped the boys, So,
yeah.
it works out in the end, but only if there's a good explanation for it,
Oh no, I agree. The worst part for that with the Goonies is when you watch it now, regardless to when you watch it when you're younger, and it's amazing. You watch it now and you think, how terrible a crew of actors with those guys. They were corny. Martha Telly, when she's trying to get them to walk the plank, there's a scene she turned around and you can see her look towards the production crew and go, as if to say, what am I meant to be doing? I don't know. And it's just for about
Right,
4 or 5 frames, you just see it turn around and say, I don't know what I should be doing. And you're like, oh, this was a Spielberg. That's all I think.
totally.
But
What was that,
nevertheless,
1985 or something, right?
yeah,
85?
85. Yeah, there's a new one coming out as well.
I had heard rumor about that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing because it's, again, do you know what? I'm going to bring up that part of life as opposed to what we've got now. It's those situations when you're younger, it's those films which pique people's interest in something. It makes you naturally curious. My son's fascinated by Tim Burton movies. He's 6 and he watches The Nightmare Before Christmas,
Right.
and hence the Cups. He watches Corpse Bride. He loves them, and my wife's the same. And it's that little bit of curiosity that I think is absolutely, it's sort of, it is macabre, it is creepy, but nevertheless, I can't stop him watching it as much as I'd like to because he has access to YouTube and he'll just watch it anyway. But you kind of need it. Obviously, it's curiosity without delving into something like the Goonies with your son. I mean, you're blind to what is actually out there. You'll just be one of those people who goes to the bar with your friends. We're not that people. We're cut from a different cloth. It's brilliant.
Exactly.
But by the way, I'm fascinated by your hat. Just another thing, by the way.
My hat.
Well played. Yeah. I like it.
You like it?
I like it. Where'd you pick that up, go on?
It's my brand, man. I just started it.
Oh, God, when'd you start that?
Yeah, I just started the brand, I don't know, about a month ago or whatever. I just came up with the phrase and started printing some hats and some T-shirts, and I'm trying to gather a paraphrenic movement, and get people excited about being crazy for the paranormal.
I believe you will do it. I 100% believe you do it. The amount of people out there who try stuff like that, and you can't work out what the correlation to the paranormal is. I'm sort of slightly digging at somebody there, but nevertheless, you see a lot of people out there who try and make their own clotheslines, and it doesn't work because it's got no basis. But no, that is fascinating. I mean, as I said, you only started a month ago. Have you only got hats out, or have you got a full range yet?
Right now I've got hats and I've got T-shirts, man. I just started. I've got black and blue T-shirts, and I've got these nice hats. The embroidery. It's pretty simple. It's really just trying to spread the word to people. They're relatively inexpensive. It's not a money maker type thing for me. It's more of like maybe it's a fan club type thing. Maybe it's a community of people to join together and be part of the movement of being excited about ghosts and being passionate about what we do, looking for the truth. It can have many meanings for other people, for many people. For me, it's a celebration of the craziness that I have for the paranormal and investigating and being kind of schizophrenic, but I'm not schizophrenic. I'm paraphrenic.
Well played.
Hey, is there a website we could pull that up on or anything like that? Do you have anything launched yet?
I've secured paraphrenic.com. I wasn't sure if I was going to really go full bore into a website yet, but right now, if people are interested in looking at what's available for inventory, they can go to my Facebook fan page. And on there, there's numerous posts of where you can get it. Right now, I sell them through Square Register. I have just an online shop through Square.com. I believe it's like Square Market, KJ McCormick, and right there, I mean, it's real simple. It's like basically you just go to the link that's on my Facebook page for. I also started a Paraphrenic Facebook page as well. Paraphrenik. Paraphrenic on Facebook. My public Facebook page. There's links to it. You go to Square. You click on the link. You pay with your credit card. I personally package it. I sign an autograph 8x10 to whoever you want, whether it's you or your friend, your mom, or your sister, your brother, whatever. And you get a sticker and a free 8x10, and it goes in the mail. It comes right out of my house.
That's cool,
I
man.
do everything. It's
got the
printed
range.
locally here in San
That
Diego.
sticker's, yeah, that sticker's going on the bottom of a skateboard, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
buddy,
no two ways
exactly.
about it, man.
Right?
It kind of carries itself like that, man. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So you're just trying to do something cool and bring people together and keep the unity out there. I don't. There it is, man. Look at that.
Let me pop this. I gotta pop this one up myself here to see.
Nice work, guys. Nice work.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Paraphrenic hat.
Oh, it's a flex fit too. Nice.
Yeah.
Paraphrenic
So I
t-shirt.
got flex fit, and then I've got the snapback, and I've got the t-shirts are, they come in medium to extra large right now. I haven't gotten any double extra large, but I've had quite a few requests for double extra large, so we'll start getting some of those going soon.
The one thing I've got to point out here, right, is we've got t-shirts, hats, evidence reviews that just take 12 seconds. There you go. Yeah, 12-second evidence review. I hate you for that, by the way. I'll never let you go for that. Never. No, but that's brilliant. I'm made up that you're doing it, to be fair. As I said, some people do it for the wrong reasons. You're doing it for the right reasons. Why not create a following that is a following for a purpose? That, for me, works. It works perfectly fine. And I'll, again, applaud it. I really do. But there is one other question. I mean, we're going to call it a close shortly, but there's one other question I've got to ask you. What is the softest thing that's ever happened? What's the stupidest thing you've ever done or the funniest thing, we'll call it the funniest thing that's ever happened whilst you've been on the show? What's the one thing you've done and thought, oh, I shouldn't have done that, it's going to make outtakes? Go on. dig the hole. Come on.
Oh, man. Well, okay. There's a lot of that happens, okay, guys?
Oh, we've got all the time in the world. Let's go.
Okay, we want to hear it, man. We got time.
I'm going to keep season 11 a secret here because there's some stuff that I have. Now, you got to understand, I have no idea what's going to air.
Yeah,
I have no idea. None of us do,
that.
really. I think that Jay and maybe Steve are the only ones that ever get any kind of, rough cut of what the episode is going to look like, for that particular location. And Jay always has the final say in what airs and how it airs and how it's presented. I mean, it's very important to him and to us. But there are a lot of stupid things that I do on the show at times when I get kind of crazy because we've been investigating for so long. I never thought that the future bit was going to make it. I don't know if you guys saw that, but when we did we did the Western Southern Vermont College, and we were talking about being from the future, that was just something that came to me in the moment, and I'm because I'm always while I'm investigating, I'm always thinking about what is it that's going to make this person that potentially is from the 17 or 1800s want to talk to me?
Yeah.
I mean, why would they? I'm coming at them in I'm probably looking like I don't have any manners, when it comes down to it, because they handled themselves very differently back then. But maybe they're curious, and so that little bit just came out. I'm thinking, Well, in reality, like if they're still here and they still think that it's their time,
Yeah.
well, I'm obviously from their future, right?
Yeah.
And so boom, it just came out, right? And we laughed about that Dustin and I laughed about that forever, and it made the show, you know? And I think ultimately it made the show because it just shows, you know, truly who we are, more so outside of the business part of it.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, you know, Dustin and I especially, we do some really silly stuff, man. You know, because we feel like being yourself is really a huge part of the results that you get during an investigation. Being someone or something that's either so stupid you got to come over and say hello, or so funny that they want to know more. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We always end up in the kitchen somewhere. If people have pie in their fridge, or they have whipped cream, or they have anything that we can eat, chocolate sauce or whatever, we find it, man. We find it.
So you've gone from genuine, authentic investigating to fridge burglary.
That's right. We're kitchen thieves, man. I'll tell you. We're kitchen thieves. But there'll always be a little tip in there for you for whatever it is. If there's a birthday cake in there, we won't touch it. But we might, like, you know, take a little bit of the frosting from the backside of it just to see how it tastes.
Yeah, I can imagine that question. How old's the person who the birthday cake's for? 26. They don't need it. How old's the person? The 3. So they've had 2 cakes before now. They don't need it. Give me the cake.
There's always a justification, man. I tell you.
God.
There really is.
Celebrity status can get you what you want, whether it be a child's birthday cake or not. I don't blame you. Definitely. Oh God, no. And I understand what you mean. If there's no human aspect to what you're doing, then you just become another show. You just become that other group of people. Now, I've heard before, we interviewed Thomas Durant a couple of weeks ago, and I think he's a friend of Dustin's, or he speaks to Dustin, and he said exactly the same. He said Dustin's one of those people he's such a light-hearted person, and he is a nice guy and quite the joker in the same. As you think's kind of good, you need to be planted on the ground. If you're not planted on the ground, then obviously it's kind of not worth doing. If you think that you have to go in and dress like a SWAT team, it's not worth it. You get me? It's kind of weird, but in the same breath, I mean, when you, as you said yourself before, saying about being from the future, the one thing we, as an entire society of people who are into the paranormal, the one thing we don't think about what we do is we put a box on the floor covered in shiny lights that people have never seen before, making funny noises that they've never heard before, and go, yeah, go over and play with that. Yeah, good idea. That's like when you're a child going, see that fire? Go and put your hand in it. Go on. Yeah. You'll be fine. Naturally, you're going to stay away from the big shiny noisy thing, aren't you? But at least you've done it right by saying, we're from the future, don't worry about it. That's clearly less scary.
It's so true, you know. It's some of the equipment that you know, has been developed out there is, you know, my own kids are like, you know, I've shown them the REM pod, you know, I've shown them the Melmeter and things that make you know, and they're like, whoa, you know, like at first they're like, hey, you know, is that okay, you know, or whatever.
Is it loaded?
I find that, you know, if you can't be lighthearted about what you're doing, even if it's a serious endeavor and it's, you know, in pursuit of serious things, you have to, like you said, you know, you've got to be grounded. You've got to not take yourself so seriously in those situations, and you know, try overly hard to present yourself in some way that you think that you need to present yourself. I think ultimately who we are, you know, in the shower or out in public, at home or with your family, is who you are, you know? I mean, if you can be silly in the shower singing to a stupid song from the 80s, then be that person in life, you know? It's going to bring you happiness, and it's going to bring you content. And, you know, ultimately, I mean, there's plenty of times that while we're investigating and we're like, you know, God, like, why would anybody want to come talk to us right now? All we keep doing is asking for a sign of their presence, or for them to show themselves to us, or, you know, for them to play with us. You know,
Yeah.
what is that? What does that really mean? You know, like, come on, like, so we break it up and we joke around and we, you know, we throw our hands up in the air like, oh man, you know, this is just not working tonight, or whatever it is, and you know, a lot of times we end up getting some kind of results, you know, and there's always a result in there that you don't know that you have on your recorder until you're reviewing, and you know, so there's always something to look forward to, and we don't go out and rehearse anything. We don't have to do anything over. We're never asked to repeat something. Like Dustin and I together, Tango and I together, Sam and I, Sherry, the new girl. You know, we have our own dynamic when we're working as a team, and I just let that flow. And I talk to people like they're real people, and like the cameras aren't there. I mean, that's the biggest thing as an investigator. If you're going to be on TV, you have to be who you are.
Yeah.
And you have to forget that the cameras are there and just do your job and have fun doing it, because you know, life is short, man. Life is too short.
Far, far too short. I totally agree with you. Two things I will point out before, obviously we'll call it a day very shortly, but two things I will point out. There's a group over here in the UK. They investigated a building called Stanley Palace, and they went round, and they're a good group. They went round, they were asking questions, they were trying to work out what was going on. It was quiet, it was pretty level as an environment for about an hour. So they said, okay, we'll stop and have something to eat. So they sat down on a set of stairs, got out the sandwiches, started eating, and then the next minute there's a mass walks behind one of them. And it was, out of all the entire investigation that they were there, nothing happened until such a time as one of them sat down to eat his break, have a break, and sat down. And then the next minute, the best piece of evidence they ever caught walked behind them. On CCTV, of course, by the way. And I can imagine that to have been like the worst feeling in the world. It's like playing football or soccer and trying your hardest to score a goal, and then as you walk away, just tapping it with your foot while you go to get your bottle of water, and it goes in the goal. It's like my entire career for that. That's frustrating. And secondly, there's a place over in Britain called the Ancient Ram Inn. And me and Kurt are good friends with a group called Calamityville Horror. And they're really slapstick about how they do stuff. And they got the opportunity to investigate the place. It took them a long time to get it. And the first thing they do is they go upstairs, they're investigating upstairs, and one of the team members starts hearing thumping sounds. And they get a bit concerned and turn the camera around, and there's two of the team members doing Zumba dancing. They just decided that was the time to do it. And it has to be, no offense to this, it has to be the best piece of footage I've ever seen in the paranormal field, is these two in sequence doing Zumba in total darkness. So that happened, and if anybody was there, they were like, crazy bastards, stay away. Not even
those girls are great. They are awesome.
As you said yourself, you need it. You need to either stay level and grounded or as crazy as the day you started it. If you change whilst you're doing what you're doing, then, you know, there's other shows which are 10 seasons in where you can see the dynamics of the individuals in the show have changed. And obviously, I'm not going to say the name of the show, but you can see it's changed slightly for the worse. It's no longer what it used to be. The people are no longer who they used to be. And you look and you think, well, you're going to lose a lot of following for that. You're going to lose a lot of fans. And to be fair, most importantly, you're going to lose yourself. So it's not worth doing that. If you're going to do it, as you say yourself, act like there's no cameras there for the most part. But
yeah, because, you know, it's funny. There are a couple of different things that happen to people when the camera gets turned on them, and, you know, some people clam up. They don't know what to say because they're too sensitive about what's going to come out of their mouth and feeling like they're sounding stupid, which that's exactly what you don't need to do. I mean, you need to just talk and do your job, right? And think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And other people, they get, you know, they have like an alter ego, and their other personality comes out that they never knew that they had, and they've got to be this really cool person that's, you know, just so cooler than cool.
Yep.
that's always having something happen, and there's always evidence, and there's always crazy stuff, and they're, you know, bigger than now. You know, it's a weird dynamic. It's been interesting, you know, seeing how our group of people have grown over the years, and become more comfortable with the camera being on them, but still, you know, it still makes us nervous at times. Just, you know, when you know that it's shooting right, you know, you're right down the barrel and everything. You know, there's times when you can't get a complete sentence out of your mouth, and you've got to try again or whatever,
Yeah.
especially if we're doing an interview about, you know, we do a lot of OTFs. They're on-the-fly interviews of
Yeah.
what was going on our last investigation, what just happened to you, you know, when we're explaining that. And sometimes it's so late at night, you can't get a complete sentence out of your mouth. You can't get a complete idea of what just happened, and you feel like, oh, man, you know, like I just, you know, you just take a minute. But, you know, you just have to be that person. That's who you are, and that's what it is right then and there at that moment. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're trying to explain what you just did, and you're so tired. All you really want to do is pack up and go home, but you still have a couple more hours to go before things are over.
Yeah.
And that just shows the reality of who we are. We're not in it for the fame. We're not in it, you know, we're not getting the pressure for the evidence. And I think that, you know, these people that have a team and they want to be on TV so bad, they don't realize what they're giving up once they sign that line and say, okay, we're going to have a show. And then there's pressure from the network, and there's all this stuff that they mentally mess with your head, and it can really mess you up. It can really turn you into a person that you never knew you could be, or, you know, compromise, you know, who you are.
Even though you go in there with always the best of intentions, it always seems to come down to the editing and the production company. How are you going to be looked at? You might not be in, you know, 3/4 of the scenes, but then they show you real quickly with, let's say, I'll say Dustin. I'll use that. You guys tend to team up really well together, and it kind of makes you look how you don't want to look. But then again, I like the fact that you don't have that alter ego that comes out because that other shows have. And I find that to be just props to you, dude. I mean, just props to you because editors can make you look anything you want. You know, anything they want, any pressure they're getting, they can turn it on you real quick, and you got to take it. But you guys are holding strong on that. And again, props, dude. That's all I gotta say. Props.
You guys have got heavy protection anyway, because as you said yourself, Jay gets the last say. And on the grounds of that, if he gets the last say, he's pretty much going to protect you guys. And I think, again, that's well played from his aspect. He's done it at least to protect you guys, to make sure you're not painted in a bad light, to make sure the investigation's not painted in a bad light. That's brilliant. I applaud that. Now, the worst part is now we are coming to the end, unfortunately, where I always hated when it's the end, because it's when we go off air, I always think, I could have asked that question, I could have done this, but nevertheless, do you know what? I think we've covered a lot of the bases, and if I have to, that's my own demons I've got to face.
We could do it again sometime if you guys want. You know, I think I like you guys a little bit now.
Hey, we take that as a plus, definitely, because we've been called all sorts of names now. Yeah. We actually had, you know, we like to keep it fun and just straightforward. You know, this is what, hey, it is what it is. You know, I mean,
just to verify, there's liking and there's tolerating. Would you say you tolerated or like?
Yeah, now Mo's getting weird. Just say tolerate. Just say tolerate.
It's a little bit. It's more to the liking side now. Okay.
well played. That was look. Nevertheless, you've got your clothing line, which is Paraphrenic. Everybody who's listening to the show, especially who's going to be listening to it archived over the coming
would be watching the show, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, you're the one who came forward right at the beginning of the show, man. So welcome to Beyond the White Noise Paranormal video. Yeah.
Yep, but I said it correctly.
Did you notice that?
He was part of. You made mention to him that he was part of another show, and I'm sitting there going, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Look,
I just had to point that out.
Okay, mistakes were made. Okay, I'm not pointing any fingers, but mistakes were made. Sorry about that. But nevertheless,
It's
right,
all good.
On Facebook, you've got your page Paraphrenic, which is for your clothing line. Obviously, for anybody who watches, if you don't follow the page or you don't like the page, go away. We don't like you no more. And yeah, just make sure you keep on what KJ's doing, keep on with what Ghost Hunters is doing. Don't watch the other show because the other show is kind of boring and full of people who have muscles and drive Corvettes to investigations for some unbeknownst reason that's clearly needed.
KJ didn't say that. We purposely said that. Just
no. I said that. There's a difference.
Yes, you did say that. All the way from overseas. Yeah, that's smart.
In Scotland, clearly. Yeah. Nevertheless. So KJ, again, thank you very much for coming on. You are welcome anytime. If you want to come on and terrorize Kurt or me, or you want to hail abuse at somebody, if you want to just come on and vent, come on. You're welcome anytime. But it's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, KJ, for coming on, man. I truly appreciate it going back and forth. Because sometimes these shows are hard to, what people don't realize, to get KJ on, these shows are kind of hard to put together, especially because of time limitations and when he's going to be around, when he's not going to be around, because, you know, Halloween was a nightmare to try to find a dancer, but you know, KJ was great. KJ was great, and I truly appreciate that, too.
Thank you very much.
Anytime, guys. Thanks a lot, and, you know, I appreciate, you know, your respect for the field and your humor and, you know, just being straight up who you are, and that's what's really important. So, you know, thanks a lot. I had a great time, and, you know, hopefully we'll do it again.
Perfect. Great. I appreciate that. Guys, again, thank you very much, and we'll see you all next week. See you later.
See you later.
Bye now.